We are honored to have with us Mrs. Vidya Rani, a distinguished speaker from the Toastmasters and a healthcare business development specialist. Mrs. Vidya Rani has around 25 years of corporate experience, 20 years of which have been in healthcare. She is credited with commissioning large healthcare projects. She is an acclaimed public speaker and has been master of ceremonies, moderator, motivational speaker, keynote speaker, trainer, and coach.
He is passionate about innovative entrepreneurship and has introduced several campaigns which have added value to both business owners as well as customers. A practitioner of mindfulness, meditation, and yoga, Mrs. Vidya Rani also propagates their benefits to the community at large. May I now invite Mrs. Vidya Rani to deliver the keynote address. Delegates may please post their questions in the chat box, which will be answered by a distinguished speaker at the end of her address. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Aditi and Meenakshi, for that lovely introduction. I love the way you shared two aspects. One is the science aspect of mine and the arts aspect of mine, and combined together. That was a beautiful innovation that I could see in terms of introducing a speaker. Good morning, everyone. Let me first begin with expressing my salutations to the school principal, Madam Papri Ghosh. She has been a leader who has been providing such beautiful platforms for everybody to engage. And also I'd like to express my gratitude to your Round Square representative, Miss Noella Vaz, who's always been interacting and engaging in this communication. And I think this interaction will not be complete without expressing my thank you to Miss Ann Thomas, who actually initiated this invite. And I'm very excited to be with you all today to share my thoughts and engage in conversation with you all in this very important topic that has gripped the world in more ways than one. I hope there are some dignitaries from the Round Square. It's an organization worldwide that has provided platform for young minds like you to actually engage in these activities. Students organizing such a conference, Esperanza, which creates hope and expectation. Kudos to you. I've been with you all since yesterday, and I could see the energy and beautiful interactions, and the way you're bringing out the questions shows how deeply intellectual your thought process is being developed. That's amazing to see, and I'm assured of a great future ahead for humanity. That's such a reassurance in this testing times. Even though I miss the physical interaction, I wish this was a physical meeting in your huge auditorium that you have in your school, and we could interact in those lovely classrooms that I used to come and meet. I had a good fortune to meet you all during the inception of your Gavel clubs, and I was part of your Blue Sapphire. Can anyone message me among the students? Anyone from Blue Sapphire Gavel Club as part of this conference today as a delegate? Perfect. Harisha, Aditi. Wonderful, wonderful. That's wonderful. So you all must have seen me before, interacted before. Dear students, let me call you all friends. Dear friends, the next 30 minutes, let's engage in a conversation that is important to understand, because this aspect is dealing with an emotion that affects us deeply. And that can affect us in everything else that we do in life, professionally, socially, psychologically, and physically as well, because from healthcare background, I can say it can manifest into a psychosomatic problems. So let's start with a riddle. This particular riddle, I'm sure many of you must have heard before, but you've heard, don't break the answer right in between. And I request all the delegates, don't come out with an audio response. Please be on mute, audio mute. Please type in your answer only on the chat. Done? Can you all show me a thumbs up reaction button on your screen? Wonderful, wonderful. That shows that you're all attentive. You're watching me, looking at me. That's excellent. I'm thrilled to talk to you today. What is this riddle? There was a father and son driving in a motor car on a highway going in high speed. And unfortunately, this particular car meets with a deadly accident. And in that particular accident, the father dies. And the son was taken to the hospital. He was rushed into the operating theater. And just before he was subjected to go under the knife to be operated, the surgeon says, with the trembling hands, I cannot operate on him. He is my son. Who's the surgeon? Can you all type an answer? Vismaya came with a wonderful, perfect answer. Everybody's coming up with the answer. Fantastic. Exactly. The surgeon was the mother, the child's mom, the boy's mom. All of you, I'm sure, have come out of this stereotype and you're recognizing that the surgeon can be a mother. But dear friends, when this particular experiment was done in a psychology test, even the people who acclaimed themselves to be feminists failed to answer this particular question. And they couldn't recognize that the surgeon can be a female. This is the level of discrimination that has ingrained, the stereotypes that has ingrained into the society. So since you're all, the stage is set, you know about it, it's very important for us to understand. I'm going to talk about ways to tackle discrimination. How can we tackle discrimination? I'm going to give you some tool to take with you today to help you to tackle discrimination. But before we go on to handle this tool to help you, it's very important to define discrimination. You need to understand what exactly is discrimination. Discrimination, I share my own personal experience. Gender discrimination can be so imbibed into our culture, our lifestyle. When I was a child, being a girl, there was a conditioning that happened within myself in the way I was brought up. And when I grew up as a teenager, and I used to ride bicycles and then went on to ride scooters. And in one of the interactions with the friends, a boy just told me, why don't you ride my bike? And my immediate reaction was, girls don't ride bike. And he said, why not? Can you imagine? That was a instant reaction that came from me, that girls don't ride bike. And that was bizarre. And today's generation, if they hear that, they would think, what a weird thought. But that was a thought which came to me then, instantly, even without thinking, that the girls don't ride bike. And that friend of mine changed that perception in my mind. And I said, why not? And then I went on to become a biker, and I could ride multiple excursions that we could do in bike riding. But this is just a small example. It's not just about bike riding that changed my mindset. It's about the things I could see in life, with the things that I could break the stereotype and come out of it. The whole change in the mindset happened with one particular incident. So let's see what exactly the word discrimination is defined about. It is the unjust or prejudicial treatment of different categories of people, especially on the grounds of race, age, or sex. For example, victims of racial discrimination. We can see that happening extensively. There's movements going on about racial discrimination. That is just one aspect of discrimination. There's another definition to it. Discrimination actually is a recognition and understanding of the difference between one thing and another. Students, my dear friends, I want you all to focus on this definition of discrimination. This is the intellectual power the nature has bestowed upon us as human beings that gives us the power to differentiate between what is right and what is wrong, and which is extremely important. We need to have the discriminative power to make decisions in life. But where the problem starts is when we use this discriminative power to compare one to another and create unjust behavior, create prejudiced behavior, and start making our own statements in terms of inferior or superior, something better to another. For example, you see a lamp in front of you and you know that you can't touch the open fire, it is going to burn your fingers. That's the discriminative power you have, not to touch the open fire, it's going to burn your finger. But in the same scenario, you have a lamp which is an oil lit lamp, and next to it there's a candle. Both are lamps giving you light. But if one says oil lamp is better than the candle is not good enough, and the other says candle is better, the oil lit lamp is not good enough, that is where the discriminative power comes into the problem in the world. You can see the difference. When you cannot embrace another identity, you cannot accept another identity and embrace the diversity that we have in the world, that's where the discriminative power that we have comes into problem. This is the sad reality of humanity, that we have taken our strengths, the human intelligence strengths, to be used for negative purposes. But today, the 113 of us here in this Zoom meeting, if we decide to become the crusaders, to make a decision that we do not engage ourselves into this kind of behavior, and we will not accept others not to engage in this kind of a discriminative behavior. Imagine the social fabric, the ripple effect that will have in the social fabric is going to be huge. Just 113 or 14 of us to make a decision today that we are going to recognize this. We are going to stop this happening. We are going to consciously make this happen. So we know the definition now. What is discrimination? Why discrimination as an intellectual power is important for us, but why comparing that to one another makes a drastic change. Dear friends, you've seen in a botanical garden multiple type of flowers. We might have our own preferences. I might like lotus and Paprima might like rose. We might have our own personal choices and preferences. Absolutely nothing wrong in that. We can own our own personal choices and embrace that into our life. When I say lotus is better than rose, or rose is not a good flower because it's got thorns with it, that's when the problem starts. You see the multiple type of fruits available in the nature. Can you compare an apple to an orange and say which is better? Never. Each one has got its unique entity, unique power, and unique existence in the world. In the same manner, so as we are there, as individual entities, unique in our own rights, in our physicality, in our mindset, in our behavior, we are unique in our own way. So embracing that thought and holding on to that is extremely important. Now, since we know that discrimination can happen in every sphere of life, It can be at home. It could be among your friend circle. Your friends can pass remarks like a joke while you're playing. It can happen in the corporate world in a big way. It can happen in the society, in the social circles that we meet and engage people. It can happen at all levels. For example, when I was working in one of the organizations and I handled sales and marketing, and during that phase of life, I had put on a lot of weight and I had become obese, and had one boss who used to pass remarks saying that sales and marketing people needs to be slender, slim, and beautiful. Can you imagine those remarks? A stereotyped remark, a person passing on someone. And I developed the courage to take this matter up to the board and say, my capability to render my duties as a sales and marketing has nothing to do with my body shape. That was the body shaming that can happen in multiple places in many different forms. In another organization that I worked, only my male counterparts were given opportunity for international travels to attend conferences. And when I objected and raised question on why not I get such opportunity, I was just plainly told, you're a woman, how can you travel? And I said, what nonsense. I have the capability to travel and I can do my best and I can produce my best presentations in the international platform. And I was lucky enough to have a boss who gave me that opportunity, and then I could go on different international platforms and bring accolades to that organization. And then they recognized that it's not based on gender, it's a personal capability. It's not the yardstick that they could measure my contribution to that organization based on my gender. Can you make the difference? How it can be? I can see the girls nodding and I can clearly palpitate your feelings on different experiences. Probably it's coming to your minds when you must have experienced those comments, isn't it? This can happen in every sphere of our life. But one thing that I have learned and I use personally, and I recommend and I hope all of you could use it, is called icon. We are all icons. What is an icon? Icon means a unique entity. Let me just share this with you. Can you all see my screen? Just show a thumbs up. Yes. We are icon. Icon means we are unique entities. How can we use this icon? I'm a big believer in acronyms, and especially if the acronym fits into the concept that I want to develop and implement in my life. Because big jargons or huge kind of philosophical knowledge will not come to our rescue when I'm in an emergency situation or I'm in a conflict situation. It will not help me. So I believe in using acronyms and implementing those things in my life. So my dear students, I want all of you to type ICON in capital letters, icon, in the chat box, because writing reaffirms that thought in your mind and stays in your mind. I want to see right now 115 messages, ICON, icon coming up. I want all of you to, that to be ingrained in your mind. Icon, wonderful, wonderful. Lovely seeing, 99 plus. Excellent. You see, now, what is this icon? You all must be wondering. You know that icon means unique. We are all icons. I said, consider yourself as an icon. What is icon? Let me break it down into different elements for you to understand. I stands for identify. First and foremost, it's important for you to identify when an act of discrimination is happening. This is very clearly important. If you do not identify, you cannot deal with it. And Dear friends, at this age, please do not ignore considering that as just for fun, because these just for fun kind of remarks which will be done as act of discrimination are the small seeds that are being implanted right now, and that can germinate and grow into huge trees, and that is the type of future generation that we will be bringing into the society. So I request all of you, even for fun, do not allow that kind of remarks or act of behavior to be done and discard it. We have this attitude, I'm sure all of you know, because we come from the Indian background, chalta hai. You know, are chalta hai, let him say whatever he wants or let him do whatever he wants. I don't care. If we don't care today, that particular element will haunt us or damage us in a big way. So it's important for us to care. It's important for us to act on it. So the first I stands for identify. People may discriminate on the basis of age, caste, criminal record, could be height and weight, like how it happened to me, physical appearance, disability, family status, gender identity, gender expression, which is a big talk right now in the world, generations, genetic characteristics, because some people could be born with, you know, some different special needs, marital status. For example, it's very commonly used when you send out your profile and immediately you'll be added as Mrs. So-and-so. It has become natural for us, but we don't know whether the person is Mrs. or not. But unintentionally, we add that line. You know, these are the little things that can make a big difference. And profession, nationality, we can see that here when we deal with multiple different nationalities, color, race, ethnicity, religion, sex, sexual orientation, and political ideology, social class, personality, the categories can go on and on and on. As you engage, as you grow older, as you engage in more and more interaction with the world, you will realize. When I initially came to Oman, it was like 21 years ago, I worked with an international organization. And can you believe when I first went into this, it was a multicultural organization with a lot of Western population. And when I went with my little bindi on my forehead, you know, we all wear bindis, love to wear that. And one of the ladies, a registered nurse, came and said, "How beautiful, this looks lovely. What is it called? I love your culture." And after a little while, another one came and said, "What that nonsense on your head? Is that a little bleed or a cut? That's disturbing." You know, comments like that. It's the same element of two different people looking differently. You know, the diversity in us can be looked at it in a beautiful way to embrace that as another beautiful aspect. But it's up to our capacity to see how we can embrace it. So, dear friends, it's very important to identify what is happening. It's not easy in the beginning. It can take a while for you. But what I'll recommend is listen to your gut feeling, your inner voice. It can always give you the right decision. You're in a particular situation. You have been subjected to some remarks and your gut feeling says there's something wrong. I'm not comfortable. There's something, it's not right. Listen to that and rewind the incident. Go back, sit back and introspect, retrospect. Then you will realize this is discrimination based on a particular category. And once you identify, your first I is taken care. Then you come to the next step. Let's go to the next letter in icon, C. It's very important. What is C is confront. It's very important for us to confront. We always sit back, hide behind it, and say somebody else will take care of it. It's not my job. Or let it go. I don't have to worry about it. This is the mistake most of us do. I humbly request, confront the situation. You don't have to confront by fighting with the person or arguing, or it need not be an unpleasant situation. All that we need to do is speak up, voice your opinion about it, justify the reason why and how it's wrong, why that particular person or the act of behavior is wrong. Try to create awareness and help in the transformation of that particular individual that's creating discrimination. Develop a conversation, and believe me, this particular engagement in conversation to try to raise awareness helps in transforming the other person who's engaging in this act of discrimination. And in many situations, it works. So your job will be done. Confront the situation, gather the courage, don't hesitate, but in your own way, justify and reason it out. Then once you confront, it still didn't resolve the matter, the behavior continues, or the act of that particular discrimination did not cease, it did not end. What do? Then you go to the next letter in icon called O. O is object or oppose, something very important. You have to object. You have to say, no, I will not accept this behavior. Oppose that behavior. And in your age, in your situation, or even as adults in our situation, we might have to seek help. We may not be able to, in this situation, handle that single-handedly. So what you can do is complain to the seniors, raise a grievance about it. If required, in the corporate world or in any other social circumstances, we might have to even take the legal route. Unfortunately, all the countries in the world has built in such beautiful legal platform to encourage us to get justice for various acts of discrimination. So the O is oppose and object. Gather courage to reach this step that you will not accept this kind of act of discrimination. After you complete this particular element of oppose and object, then you come to the letter N. N stands for neutralizing the situation. When you go through all this process, either you have transformed the person for better, that they will not continue with that act of behavior, or you have won your case, or you have put your stand very strongly and you have neutralized the situation to make sure that it doesn't repeat towards you. That is your victory. That's when you win that situation, making sure that you are not subjected and you're not humiliated, you're not insulted, you're not in an unjust situation, and you come out of it victorious and develop your personality to be the icon that you are. But sadly, there can be situations where you cannot neutralize or you cannot win over the situation. It could be, for example, my grandmom. She has a certain set of preconceived notions that I personally in this generation probably think that it should not be practiced, but I cannot argue with her, I cannot oppose her, or I cannot be in a situation where I object her. So what I do, I respect what she says and walk away from the situation. Or it could be a friend who is a bully, constantly bullying you, not able to handle that situation. You involved everybody, it still didn't work. The best thing is walk away from that situation. Walk away from that circumstances. You don't need to continue to absorb the hurt, continue to absorb that negative behavior. That's when you neutralize the situation. So I request all the delegates now to type for me what it signifies ICON. I for identify, C for confront, O for object, and N for neutralize. Richa should get a prize today for typing that fastest finger first. Congratulations, Richa, for doing that. Fantastic. Kartika, fantastic. Everybody. This is a tool that I would like to give you today. The moment you see that you are being subjected to a situation where you feel that it's an act of discrimination, think that you are an icon. We are all icons, unique individuals, beautiful, fantastic in our own right. And then implement the ICON method. Just implement those 4 little steps, which can help you to tackle the act of discrimination that probably happens. With this, all of us, 115 of us today, if you embrace and carry this tool of icon with you, I just sincerely hope that we can eradicate this behavior of discrimination that exists in the world in any form. In any form, we just need to completely remove it out of the world. I just hope we can be the crusaders who can do that. And with this thought, I would like to hand over the screen back to the moderators, either Meenakshi or Aditi. Over to you, back to you. And I'm open for questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your inspiring words. Delegates, do you have any questions? Anuranjan Sunil, would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Thank you. Yes, I would like to. So, ma'am, we can use any method to change the thoughts of others when this gender discrimination is actually a big part of the world. So, what is the most effective way which we can change others' thoughts very easily?
Conversation. Conversation is the most effective way to change the person's mind, because that is the best method to engage someone in a thought. That is the best method in which you can make that person understand. Having a conversation one-on-one is the best method. Many a times, the person may not come to a conversation with you. You would love to talk to them. You would like to reason out your whatever stand that you want to prove to that person in terms of gender discrimination. Then you might have to give them the resources in terms of journals or books or anything that they could read to bring that transformation in them. The best thing is knowledge. Reach out to them in imbibing that knowledge to them. The best is the conversation that I believe in, having a one-on-one conversation, which can definitely transform an individual. The next step, if that fails, is you have to give them resources in terms of spreading that knowledge for them to understand why this gender discrimination should not be there. Okay, Niranjan?
Thank you,
You're
ma'am.
welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. Would Kartika like to unmute your audio and ask a question?
Yeah, ma'am, ma'am, you said that if, for example, a bully keeps on bullying you and whoever comes in the situation, it is only making it worse, then we just walk away. But what if the bully doesn't leave us and they also come along with us and try to disturb us? What should we do?
Yes, that is a situation where you seek support. Seeking support, many a times what happens, we like to engage with the whole incident on our own. We hesitate to seek support. This is a situation you have to reach out to your seniors, your parents, or your other colleagues or friends. Reach out to seniors to help you come out of this bully, because the very fact that they are a bully because they don't want to leave your back, they will be after you. They enjoy that kind of a behavior. So engaging your seniors or seeking help from someone else, or many a times that bully might have a best friend who can you can talk to that person, that 3-party conversation. That particular person who is a best friend of this bully, who understands that person very well, can actually break this ice and make that triangle very effective in terms of making this bully understand that either they stop their behavior or leave you alone. So engaging that particular person or seeking help from your seniors will always help if you cannot move away.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
All the best.
From Determination, would you like to unmute and ask a question?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, my question is pretty similar to the previous one, but like, suppose that person is bullying you, and then like after like stopping it and all, then after like going back and meeting him somewhere, he starts calling you a coward, and like you don't know how to face the situation, ma'am. Then how to come out of that now?
Right. This is like a reoccurrence of viral flu. You know, this is the problem in the world. You will always have relapses. Once you're out of the flu, doesn't mean that it'll never come back to you. There is a possibility it'll come. So, Madhav, in these situations, what you need to do is, if they call you names, you can ignore it. You can totally ignore it because you know your worth better than anybody else. You don't need them to give you names, or you don't need to acknowledge what you are. So have that self determination and self esteem, which says that anybody calling names will not affect you unless it becomes physical. Unless it affects you physically, you can totally ignore it. And walk away, and whatever names they call it really does not matter to you. Madhav Manish is a fantastic human being with a lot of energy and his own rights in his own capability. So nobody needs to give you a certificate about it. So totally ignore it and don't give heed to them. The more you respond to them, they come back to you. So that's the best method to deal with them.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome,
ma'am.
Madhav.
From Sanjana from Persistence, would you like to ask a question?
Yes, thank you. Ma'am, ma'am, when we are not able to see any seniors because like they will also be supporting the bully, what are we supposed to do at that time?
If there is a situation where you're unable to put forward your case, it happened to me in my workplace that there was a bully, like one of my colleagues. In fact, he was my boss, immediate boss, and he couldn't understand. And the whole board actually supported him because he was economically important for the organization. So the best thing I could do is to leave. I resigned that job. So if there is a situation where you're unable to put forward your thought and you're engrossed in the whole situation, the more if I retained in that particular job, it could have crushed me. I would have gone into depression and I would have developed much more negativity within myself, and I would never be able to grow in my own career. So the best I could do is to come out of the situation. I quit my job and found another place for myself, and I could progress in my career. But not that may not be the solution all the time. Keep looking for people. There will be always people who will help you. What we do is we actually do not exhaust our resources in an effective way. You probably went on to your class teacher and maybe she's too busy with multiple tasks and you couldn't get an answer from that, but you could reach out to much more senior members or reach out to other people in the community to spread out. So try and reach out to multiple people, and you never know who will help you. There will be someone who will understand you and come and help you. So don't limit your resources to your first step. Go forward and forward as much as possible. Expand your resources to reach out to people, and you still feel that it's hurting you and damaging your personality, walk away. Walk away, and the world is huge, big, and there's enough space for everyone to survive and bloom into the beautiful creatures we are.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, Sanjana.
Ma'am, we have the last question for today. Vedant from Integrity, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Thank you. Actually, ma'am, I've seen like a video that my mother showed me once before going to sleep. She told me this is what you do against bullies. So a person tried to was doing a comedy, like something like a stand-up comedy. He asked a person to keep on insulting him, So in the first scenario, he kept on trying to push back and he lost. And then in the second scenario, he kept on saying thanks. Okay, I'm fine with it, like that. So does it actually work? Because I've tried it sometimes and it barely worked. I'm not sure. Like, is it like embracing what he says also a solution?
It's something similar to a situation where Madhav, asked the question, if a bully comes and tells you you're a coward, you don't have the strength and you walked away and all that. If you embrace, you said that, okay, I'm a coward, it doesn't matter, let me be. If you say that, that person might use some other remark, come back and tell you something else, come back and tell you something else. Silence in those situations can be extremely blissful. You don't have to react in any particular way. Reaction in a constructive manner with the support of all the system supporting you can be very helpful. If you think that the situation is not helping you, even if you embrace, in the second instance of the stand-up comedy that you mentioned, he says, yes, I accept whatever you're saying. It's also a reaction you're giving to him. So you're still heeding him, you're giving him something to take. So even that is not required, according to me. I would feel just be silent. Silence is always the best remedy. Walk away from there. Do not deal with such an individual who is constantly bullying you, and you don't have to accept whatever he say. You don't have to either negate or affirm. Don't deny it or don't accept it. Just be quiet and walk away with your chin up and continue to do and become busy. Keep yourself engaged in your activities. Be so busy that you don't have the time to think about all these people. You have so much to do in your life. So just engage yourself in all the positive activities that you have. So that thought of that particular person do not come to you. That would be the advice that I would give you, Vedant.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, ma'am, once again for this cooperative session. It was truly motivational. Now, may I request the delegates and their leaders to proceed to their respective Baraza sessions. After the Baraza session, the delegates may disperse for lunch at 12:15 p.m. Thank you.
We shall
Thank
resume
you.
the
If I may
Baraza.
say the last line, I
Yeah, ma'am.
request all of you to embrace the icon, and this is when you will construct hope and you will destroy the fear. So with this takeaway, I express my gratitude and thank you to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much,
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye for now.
Thank you,
Bye
ma'am.
until we meet again.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Noella ma'am, when do we catch up again? Before the closing ceremony?